Erik, who is a relatively new investor. He's going to tell you a story. He just started thinking about real estate investing this year, 2017, and he's already gotten an investment property under his belt and probably 1,000 lessons learned in the last 2 months or so.
Thanks so much for coming a little early. I know the traffic was rough. My name's Erik Cabral, and I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple things. First, my first deal, and second of all, what I'm baked into the presentation is how I got there, like my mindset, and what I did to prepare for this deal. So before I get started, I wanted to ask a couple of questions. Who out there has been investing or started thinking about getting into investing less than a year? Less than a year?
Just thinking about it.
Thinking about it? Okay, so that's my boat. It's been less than a year for me. How many people have done a deal or have any deals? So a couple people. You know, already we know about you. How many are looking to do their first deal before the end of the year? Okay, that's great. I would hope everybody put their hands up for that. But yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of mindset and preparation to get you to the point where you have no fear or less fear to pull the trigger on a deal. So these are the steps that I took in order to get me there. Hopefully it'll inspire some of you. Some of you will, so it'll resonate with you and you'll relate to my situation. But let's move forward here. So some of the things that I'm going to discuss today is the journey that I took. This is going to be my journey and everything I experienced along the way to get to my first deal, which is a multifamily
Unit.
property, 2 units. And my mindset, which you had to get right. You know, I had to get that right because, you know, I was just watching Game of Thrones and like, you know, just staying up late and waking up late, and it was not working for me. You know, that just doesn't work. So I had to get my mind right. I had to start preparing for this journey, and then it took massive action to get everything done. So after that, I'll talk about the details or the deal tales and start getting into the resources that you can tap into to help you along the way. So my journey. This is how I started. Basically, my background in a nutshell was, as many of you probably are working for corporate America or worked for corporate America, so did I. I was in it for over 20 years. I worked the 40-hour weeks. I worked 50-hour weeks. I did everything that society tells us to do. Right? It's like, hey man, you gotta go to school and you gotta work hard and you gotta climb that corporate ladder. That's your only option. That's all I knew. That's what my family told me to do. So I went to New York City. I went to school in New York City, went to SBA, took graphic design, and then I started, there was no such thing as digital, but at the time it was all print. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, went into digital, and I climbed the corporate ladder. You know, I went to New Jersey. I jumped into big pharma. I didn't know anything about pharma until I came to New Jersey, and I started working for all the big pharma groups, Bristol Myers,
Me too.
Sherry Plow, Merck, you name it. I worked for them, Novartis. And I did it for 20 years. They owned me, basically. And what I wanted to do, well, before I'm jumping ahead, I basically reached a glass ceiling. I realized, wait a minute, I've been doing this for 22 years now. I'm a creative director, which is pretty much the highest level I could get in that space. And I'm only making this amount of money. I mean, it was good salary, but it wasn't enough to set my family up for life, you know. And I started to slowly realize that, but I didn't know what to do about it. I had no work-life balance. My career was at a 10 and my work-life balance was at a 2. So I had no control over my life and my finances is what I was starting to slowly realize. And I really didn't know what to do until they finally, for the 3rd time in my career, I got laid off, which was a fortune. I mean, it was really a blessing because it kicked me in the ass to start researching. And as I started researching and looking into what options I have, because, you know, I made a decent salary, so, my wife and I were able to, and it's my wife's birthday, so I'm here spending it with you guys.
Oh,
Happy birthday, Jane.
birthday to your wife.
So as I started researching, and I knew I was getting laid off, and it's funny, as the manager of the group, I had to lay everyone off. And then I was the last to walk out the door. You know, I was like, you know, like the sitcom, you know, Cheers or something. I walked out the door and I shut the light off. And it was pretty sad and surreal. But so during that time before, because I had 3 to 2 months to prepare for this, I ran into this book. I was like, what do I do? Where do I put this money that we've saved? It's making 0% interest, you know, in the savings account. So it was like at the top of the Google search, stocks, right? Obviously, and real estate. So then this book came up over and over and over. And I was like, has anybody read this? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki? This guy changed my life. This book absolutely kicked me in the nuts. It was like, dude, I can't believe everything he's telling me here makes total sense. You know, I'd be driving down the road and I'd be like punching the steering wheel. And I'm like, this guy's totally kicking my mind into gear. Here's something he said, a little excerpt out of the book. American people work for corporations first, the government second, the banks last, and then we get what's left. We get what's left. How are we supposed to save for our retirement if all we do is give our money to corporations and then the banks for our mortgages, and then we just start, you know, putting little nuts away, you know, with no interest. So that really kicked me into gear. And then during that time, of course, you guys probably ran across Rich Dad Poor Dad seminars. They come into town like the circus, and they're like, "Hey, come on in, guys! You know, we're gonna teach you how to invest in real estate." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go. It's free, right?" Some people actually brought the book, like they thought Robert Kiyosaki was there, and he's gonna sell my book. But I showed up, and I drank the Kool-Aid. I drank it all up. I was like, "Yeah, I love it, man." I signed up. I was like, "What the hell, man? I'll sign up." And I spent a fortune, but it got me standing next to people who were doing it. Because I didn't know it was a real thing. I thought, like, oh, yeah, Trump does it, these guys do it. You know, man, I know a cousin of a cousin who knows he does it. I don't know who does this for real, but I was around people who were doing it every day, you know, because I joined this group. And while I was in these seminars, not seminars, they're courses, Rich Dad Poor Dad educational courses, I met a woman named Ann. And what she said to me, and I don't know if this is her quote, but I'll give her credit. Fear is nothing more than your inner voice asking for more clarity. So what stops us from making moves in life, in anything in life, not even just real estate, but anything that's going to be a major move in your life, it's just fear, right? Fear keeps us back. I mean, and when I realized that, I was like, you know what? I got to figure out how to get past this. 97% of what you fear never comes to fruition. So we basically fear nothing. You know, we fear all this stuff, but it really boils down to nothing. It's all in our heads. This was a huge thing they kept pushing on us. Rich Dad Poor Dad education. Find your why. What's your why? Because if you don't have a why, you're going to just lose interest. You're not going to push forward. You're not going to spend nights and weekends, you know, driving towards your goals because you don't have a strong enough why. So the why is basically the fuel you need in this vehicle that you're going to drive, the rocket fuel that you need to get off the launch pad, to rise up out of the atmosphere and into space, right? That's basically what you need. You need that fuel. You need that constant reminder, why the hell am I doing this? So for me, it was my family. My 2 beautiful daughters and my wife, Jane, who's, you know, birthday, I don't want to say her age, but yeah, that was my why. That's my constant reminder. These guys are not my family. I just put this up here because I like to talk about, my wife hates it because she thinks I'm bragging, but I delivered our baby on the side of the road a few months ago.
Yay!
That was fun. That was awesome. But yeah, that is my why. So you find your reason why, whether it's your family, loved ones, just find that something that's going to drive you. So, preparation. This is what I started to do. This was basically the recipe I followed. I educated myself. And then that education brought me knowledge. That knowledge gave me confidence. And that confidence led to action. Massive action, like Tony Robbins always says. Right? And that action will lead to results. Undoubtedly, you will have results if you follow this simple recipe. So some of the things that are part of these, this recipe, these ingredients, is I read and I learned as much as I could, whatever I can get a hold of. Focus. This word is key, man. I want to make T-shirts, Justin, of this word focus, because there was a great interview that I saw with Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett, the interviewer said, "Hey guys, take these pieces of paper and write down the one word that defines that helped you to succeed in life." And without showing each other what they wrote, they both wrote that word focus, and they showed it to her. I don't want to go through all these, but marketing, I want to highlight marketing. That's huge in my business and in anybody's business, especially in real estate, because one of the mentors in the Rich Dad Education program said to me, if you don't market in your business will starve. So I'm finding that to be true. So marketing meeting, yellow letters, postcards, Google AdWords, whatever you need to do, you actually have to spend a little money up front to get results, to get people to know that you exist. Because if you don't market and people don't even know who you are or who your company is, how are you going to make money if you, right? If they don't even know you exist. So marketing is huge. Also, this power team. This I was really spending a lot of time on in the beginning. Felt like I wasn't doing anything because I was in a vacuum. I was in my house, working in my home office, making phone calls to real estate agents, lawyers, tax advisors, banks, private money, friends and family, who had money, other investors, contractors. I was just calling everybody up, saying, hey, listen to me. I want to do this and I want to do that. I want to wholesale. I want to flip. I want to buy and hold. So that's key. Getting a power team in place. So when you do have that deal, you unleash your team, right? Oh, I want to go back for a second. I had up there coach and mentor. A lot of people don't like to spend money in this industry, I noticed, but it is huge. If you can afford to get someone on your team that's going to mentor you, that's someone that's doing it, somebody that is crushing it in what you want to do, like in real estate or whatever, if you find someone that you can shadow and learn from, and they'll tell you how to do things in what order, and you'll learn from their mistakes, it will leapfrog you light years. So something that will normally take you 5 years to do, if you have a mentor on your side, it'll speed the process up like it did for me, 6 months, 7 months. So some of the details, or the details to the property that I picked up, this multi-family. Details, that's actually the front of it. A little history on it. So it's here in Trenton, New Jersey, 2 units, roughly 2,400 square feet. I found it through my network, my power team, Rick Stein, he's awesome. I got him on my team and I said, hey dude, let's help me figure my business out. He got me sending letters out, he got me doing a bunch of things, and called me up one day and he said, hey, I got a property, it's off the market. You want to come check it out? I was like, hell yeah, let's go. So we went. The second I walked in the door, I was like, yeah, I'm buying this. I'm gonna buy this.
Wow.
The seller was asking about $90K roughly. And what was interesting about this seller, and you're going to hear this a lot if you haven't already, is a motivated seller. This guy wanted out of the deal. He didn't want anything to do with this house. He was sick of it. He was like living in Pennsylvania, living in another state, and he was just tired of managing it. He wasn't around. That's why I said he was in another state. He wasn't collecting rents. So I guess life got in the way. And it just started to become a hassle for him to show up, to get rents, to manage the property. So there was a tenant in there living for free, basically. So not only that, the dude rehabbed upstairs. He rehabbed hardwood floors, brand new paint, stain, everything, and he didn't put a tenant in it. So he was like, yeah, I'm done with this. I need somebody else to manage this for me because I obviously don't like doing it. So I said, that's cool, man. Let me put my numbers together. Let me figure this out. See what I'm going to offer you. So I figured out that the first unit that had a tenant in it is paying $650, and that's not market value. So I raised the rents to $750, and then the unit upstairs goes for a minimum $1,200. So we got a total of $1,950 per month. Brings us to $23,400 a year. So the expenses. So some of you who are new at this, you have to account for these things. These are boilerplate. You have to always account for every single item that I'm about to go through. I know some people like to skip through, and some of them think that these are phantom expenses, but no, for real, you have to account for all of this if you want to succeed in the long run. Taxes, about $4,000. Insurance, a little bit more than normal insurance because it's a multifamily. Usually about $1,000 to $1,100 on a single family house. Water and sewer I have to take care of as it's not broken out, so I can't gauge who's using what. But if you do have a single family home, the tenants will pay for your water, your sewer, and trash. CapEx reserve, this is something that I was mentioning, is not a phantom cost. A lot of people, yeah, CapEx reserves, you don't need to do that. Oh, hell yeah, you do. Because you know what, when the shit hits the fan and your roof starts leaking or your HVAC goes out, you better have a boatload of money prepared to pay for that or you're gonna lose this house. So that you always put aside every month. Same thing with vacancy. I like to account for personally 8%. A lot of people like 5 or less, but to me, 8% represents 1 month vacancy. So I like to usually bake that in. Property management is huge. Even though I'm managing this property, I always put this number in. Because you know what? I'm not gonna manage that property forever. You know, I want to pass this along. I'm an investor. I'm not a landlord, honestly. I don't want to be a landlord, but I'm doing it for the experience. So bake that in so that when you're ready to release your portfolio, you already can count. You accounted for those numbers, right? So total expenses is about $13,000. You subtract that from what we're gaining, the income from the rent, comes to $10,493, about $10,500 in NOI, net operating income. Okay? That does not account for P&I, which is principal and interest. When you're calculating NOI, you don't count the mortgage. So the monthly cash flow is $874. That's a month. How many think that's a good deal? $874 a month.
Yeah.
Just take that.
Yeah, I take it.
Yeah, it's not bad. I've already spoken to banks about refining this. My monthly mortgage is going to be about $400, so I'll be cash flowing. Once I refi, I'll get all my money out and more because they're already appreciating it over what I paid, way over it. So I'll probably get $400 of a mortgage on here, and then I'll still be cash flowing for almost $500 a month
How much did you
with
pay?
100% of my money back. We're getting to it.
Okay.
So, where are we? Calculating your MAO, your maximum allowable offer, right? So, what I like to do, and not everybody does it this way, it's a little bit backwards, but cap rate. Does anybody here know what anybody unclear what a cap rate is or want to know what a cap rate is?
Sure.
So cap rate, quickly, is usually used in commercial space to determine how you can basically compare apples to oranges, right? So if I'm buying a multi-unit or commercial property, it's 100 units. There aren't a lot of 100 units floating around, so you got to start comparing it by using cap rate. So you're going to compare it to other income-producing assets, like a mixed-use property over here that has commercial, has retail, and has tenants, and then that's how you determine your cap rate. This is why you looked into cap rates, so you can compare apples to oranges, oranges to pears. So basically, what happened was I got into the Trenton market, and I started to realize the cap rate is really around 12%. The higher you see that number, usually means a higher risk area. So like Trenton, 12%. You want 12% money. So every $100 you put in, you want 12 cents back, or 100,000, you get 12,000 back. So that's a Trenton market. Say Princeton would probably be a cap rate around 4 or 5. You know, the lesser risk, the less money you're going to be making. So what I like to do is I divide that net operating income, which was $10,500, by my desired cap rate. I didn't care what he wanted. I didn't care that he wanted $90,000 because I usually do my calculations here first to determine what I'm going to offer the seller. So the seller can say, hey man, I want $100,000. Like, I don't care. I'm going to do this first because I want a 12 cap. And if I come close to your number, then great. I'll make you an offer. If not, probably walk away. So after I did that, I took the NOI multiplied it by 0.12 or 12 cap, came up with this. That was my offer. I said, hey man, 87,411. How's that sound? Oh, so hold on a second. So there was multiple offers on this. I came to find out. So I was gonna offer him around 74,000, and my broker, my agent, my team player, my MVP said, yeah, there are multiple offers. Actually, he's in the back of the room. He's one of the bidders. But yeah, I had to put in my MAO. That wasn't expected. I didn't want to put my MAO in, but I did. And I said 87 grand, 441. And a little bit of advice that I learned from the Rich Dad guys, and you guys don't have to spend 25K just to get this. He said that whenever he makes the seller an offer, he does some crazy number like that. So I'll say, hey man, 87,441.15 cents. How's that sound? And subconsciously they're like, wow, that guy knows what he's doing. He's crunching numbers like crazy, right? Rather than just going, yeah, 87 grand. You know, it just makes it easy for them. You know, but that right there, I think that's how I beat you, Justin.
It is. You got like $1,600. Lucky you.
He rounded it.
Yeah, I did.
He's not going to do it anymore. So, so when we're making a deal, we calculate our MAO, we made that cash offer, and this is everything I did after when I finalized the deal. It took about 3 to 4 weeks. Called my lawyers. Got a title company involved. Had to search the title, make sure it was clear. Insurance, had to get that in place. Don't want to mess around with that insurance. Got my agent there, got my home inspector. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
I got the city to inspect it, so you have to get your CO. That took about 3 rounds. And they come in and they check all the batteries and the smoke detectors, the windows, everything. And that, in the end, I spent about $500, $600 after that to fix all those little things. And then I got my CO. And then now I had to work through that inherited tenant that I got, who doesn't like to pay rent or pay it on time. I picked a bulletproof lease. Find a lease. Find your friends. Find your other investors. Say, wait, man, what lease are you using? Because that is key to making sure you got all your T's crossed and I's dotted. I hired a rental agent, and I gave her my search criteria. So I was like, hey, 550 credit score. You know, no Megan's Law, stuff like that. All these are the things you have to make sure you have in place because, you know, you don't want just any old person coming in and taking over your, you know, there's professional tenants out there. Okay. That will tear your place apart. So, then she listed it on Zillow, SJREIA, all that good stuff. Since I have a little bit of time, I want to talk about this. It's crazy because nobody ever told me about this. So, open your bank accounts for the property once you get it. And for me personally, I opened 3 accounts for this one property. 3 bank accounts, because what you need to do is have one bank account for all the rent that's coming in from your tenants, right? And then you have to have a second account for the security deposit they give you. You can't just put that into the same account because it has to be, by law, in an interest-bearing account that you will give back to them once they leave. So that's the second account. Third is your cash flow. Like, you can't just put that cash flow in your pocket right now. Like, you got to keep track of it. So you got to have a third account, basically a savings account, that pushes all the tenant, everything we calculated there, $870 whatever dollars, that goes into the separate account. So rent account, then you have your security deposits, and then your cash flow separate. This way you're keeping track of it. The IRS won't mess with you. You got it all figured out. And then just cash flow. So, photos. Isn't that pretty? Here's the front, the back. It's my inspector over there. I didn't take pictures of the bottom unit because it's occupied, so out of respect. But this is the empty unit upstairs that was empty for who knows how long, a year more. Kitchen, bathroom, second bedroom, and then there's a third bedroom behind there. So some of the resources that helped me and could potentially help you to get your first deal. SJREIA. Who here are members of SJREIA? Yeah? So about less than half of you aren't. Don't hesitate to commit to SJREIA, because I would not be standing here in front of you talking about my first deal if it wasn't for this group. This group is instrumental to your success and your business success. Meetups are basically the same. They have other REIAs that are organized through meetups. Bigger Pockets. How many here love Bigger Pockets? I mean, Bigger Pockets is amazing. This, I'm telling you, like you put anything real estate investing, and they're the top 10 things on the list. Bigger Pockets, because they crush it. They do. They own this space online. They do. They're better than Facebook to me. You can actually make money going on. You're not making money on Facebook unless you're Zuckerberg. And then they have all this free content. What is that about? It's like Bigger Pockets. Not only the forums, but then they give you all these podcasts for free, webinars for free, books. It's like, what? How do you guys make money? It's all free. Yeah, they're amazing. Audiobooks. This is biggerpockets.com. Audiobooks are huge. So when I was still in corporate America, I was driving an hour and a half each way to East Hanover, New Jersey, and I just saturated myself in books, podcasts. Before I knew it, I had all this information. But I wanted to make sure, and you also have to make sure you don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. Because you can get all this information in your head, it's not going to do you any good unless you take action, right? So, YouTube Red. Have you guys heard of this? Mm-hmm. This is massive. One dude, amazing guy that I met in Rich Dad, Aaron Adams of Alpine Capital. He mentioned YouTube Red to me. I was like, what the hell is that? It's a subscription to YouTube, so you don't get ads anymore. Those stupid ads you watch, you go up there, you want to watch 2 minutes worth of video, you got to watch 20 minutes of commercials just to get to it. Right. So this gets rid of all that. Not only that, YouTube Red, it plays in the background. So your phone goes off, it goes to sleep, it's still playing. You can have headphones on, be at the gym, you could be driving, and you don't need to have the video. You're not taking up data, watching video, because it's just the audio. And what I do all day long, I listen to Tony Robbins, I listen to Gary Vee, I listen to Grant Cardone, TEDx. You got to listen to these guys because they are doing it. They're crushing it in real estate, and that's what we want to do. We want to not just be a part of it. We want to be, immensely and unimaginably successful at this. That's my goal anyway. So YouTube Red, I highly recommend it. It's worth it. $10 a month. So, last quote of the day. Your network is your net worth. I'm sure most of you have heard this already. Your network is your net worth. This is massive to me. This is so true in my life right now. Because if it wasn't for Justin, if it wasn't for Rick, if it wasn't for all these people I met through Bigger Pockets and SJREIA, my net worth wouldn't be climbing right now. So just to give you guys an idea, 7-8 months ago, I wasn't doing shit. I was a creative director, making a salary like everybody else. But now I'm building a portfolio. I got a 2-family in the pipeline. I got a flip under contract. And then I got a 20 unit in PA that I'm working on. So I remember sitting where you were sitting and hearing somebody that's like new at it. And I'm like, holy shit, I could do that. I'm not a rocket scientist. You guys could do this. I'm nobody. You just need to focus and take massive action. So this network determines your net worth. Look where this brought me in 6 months. I'm hanging with Brandon Turner. I'm hanging with this guy, Justin. This guy, Joe Scarisi, who's going to come up here and drop knowledge, on fundamentals of commercial and residential lending. And Matt Faircloth, who basically owns New Jersey. But yeah, this could be you. Just insert face. That could be you, man. This is 6 months ago, 8 months ago. I didn't know anything about real estate. Zero. I had nothing to do with it. And all of a sudden, I got all this. I got this network. I got a pipeline. I got a system. I got a business and businesses. It's crazy. It's crazy what you can do if you focus and put the energy and the time. So basically that's it. Guys, I hope I inspired you, and I hope that you will take the steps that you need to in order to have massive success.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, you guys have questions? I know you had a question. Yeah, question? Somebody?
You only started 8 months ago, you said?
Yeah, about 8 months. I got laid off in January, and then you know, I went through the stages of depression. You know, I was depressed, and then acceptance eventually. And I was like, I got to do something about my life. I can't just keep going back to corporate America, which was what I was going to do. They came back to me and they were like, Pfizer called me, the biggest pharma company in the world, said, hey, come help us. We're starting up an agency in Chicago and we're starting one in New York City. And I said no.
Really?
Yeah, that was crazy. I was running around the office because I was still at another pharma company, and I was like, guess what I just did? I just said no. It was crazy. Because I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Rich Dad Poor Dad was like the red pill. You want the red pill or the blue pill? I took that and I was never going back. Never. Right?
Right.
Not going back.
So how did you find your mentor and your whole system? Yeah, here.
Just,
What do? You just go one by one and say, hey.
No, I just kept coming out to the meetings and I kept, you know, talking to people and I kept, you know, saying what I wanted to do and what my goals were. And then I just ran into, you know people who are movers and shakers. You can tell when you're talking to them, you're like, this guy, even though he may not know anything yet, he wants to do something. He wants to build a business. You know, he's for real. He's not a tire kicker. And that's what you don't want to be. You don't want to be a tire kicker. You don't want to get in this industry and be known as a tire kicker because that'll spread really quick. You know? Go ahead.
Property manager, you said you hired one. Did you go through a ruling process?
No.
You're the property
I'm the
manager?
property manager.
right now.
But I do know people that I will pass these properties on to. You know, there's a bunch of them here that are members that manage properties.
Do you have a system when you wake up that you get right
yeah.
into the mode?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Miracle Morning. You ever read that book? You ever hear of it? Hal Elrod? Read that book. The Miracle Morning. Right, Joe? The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. You read it. Yeah. No, go ahead. Sorry. Hal Elrod basically says wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning,
Okay.
right? Don't hit the snooze button. Because
Okay.
that is setting up your day to procrastinate,
All right.
right? So he talks about that. He talks about doing something called SAVERS. So SAVERS is an acronym for scribing, so writing in your journal. And then A is for, what is it? Affirmations. Affirmations. So basically, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. V is for visualization, so write down your goals, your short-term, your long-term goals. E was for exercise, which is huge. I implemented that into my life.
I mean, like running in the morning.
We're doing whatever you want, whatever you can muster up. For me, I go to the gym, but if you can get up and do 10 jumping jacks, it's better than nothing, So then exercise, and R was reading. So read something, a passage, something bigger than yourself, something greater than yourself. Every morning so far, what I read is a Deepak Chopra book, and it sort of brings everything to a level where you're like, okay, yeah, this is more. There's more than just me in this, Puts everything in perspective. And then S, I think was scribing, was writing. But yeah, that's basically my routine. And it wasn't until I did that and I started to see a difference.
So, but you went through the more expensive training. Did you now do not need a mentor? You do?
We always need mentors because I'll never get to a point where I'm like, hey man, I know it all. Oh yeah, whatever, get out of here. No, we're always students. We're always learning because there's always new methods. There's always new techniques. There's always ways to become more efficient. So don't ever get to the point where you're arrogant enough to say, I know that, I don't need to listen to that. Listen to it. Because they might just say something that sounds familiar, but you might get a little nugget in there that will make your system or your business better. One little thing might change it. So yeah. Always learning. Always learning.
So you said you go to Big Pockets meetings and
Yeah.
this one. Are there any other ones?
Those are the majority because SJREIA has like 2-3 meetings a week.
In this.
Oh,
So we
spread
get so
out.
busy. Yeah, we're just running around constantly, and then looking at properties takes up so much time. There's only so much time for meetings.
because we were given once a rule of thumb, like you have to put out, so you didn't even send out a blind letter to someone that you were interested, you actually went there on a tip with someone.
Yeah, no, I do that. I have
Send
letters
out
out.
letters.
I have thousands of letters out there.
So what is the ratio, like, do you send out 50 or 100
1%.
letters to what?
If you, it's basically 1%. So
Okay.
if you send out 1,000 letters, expect to close on one of those deals.
Oh, wow.
Because what's going to happen is 10% is going to call you back, so you're going to get 100 calls out of 1,000, and then you're going to weed out the people that are just kicking tires, and then it's going to go down to like 50 or so, and out of the 50, eventually it comes down to like 1 to 2%.
So how do you
But it's
find-
great though, because if you put in 5,000 or 500, whatever you put in for that marketing, you're going to close on that deal. It's going to make you $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. It's well good. It's going to pay for all of that marketing that you just put in.
But how do you find 1,000 potential sites or properties?
List source.
Huh?
Listsource.com.
List.
You buy a list.
You buy a list.
Buy a list.
You put your criteria in. You basically tell them, hey, you know, I want someone who has 100% equity in their house. I want someone who has owned the house for more than 10 years. I want this type of house. You put all your criteria in, and it spits out a list. You pay, you know, $50, $60 for it.
For one,
500 to 600 to 1,000 names, however many you want. You keep
and it's
narrowing
called
it down.
buy a list.
No, listsource.com.
A list source.
All right, I'm gonna write that up.
Okay, thanks guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.